Sadly, the abuse of women and children continues in South Africa. The Centre for Child Law has a multidisciplinary approach to advocating for the rights of the children. Child law specialist Lithalethemba Stwayi joins us now to elaborate on this. Lithalethemba, thank you very much for joining us on eNCA. Of course, you had a lot to do with that Constitutional Court judgment that said that there will not be any corporal punishment at home allowed. How important is it to still discuss the fact that there are children who are still being, beaten up by their parents at home today?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's very important. So we were representing clients, actually. We were representing Sonke Gender Justice. We were representing Children's Institute, just to name clients. So it was already a collaborative effort in actually tackling this issue. And it's been an issue that's been long coming, because the Constitutional Court itself had abolished corporal punishment in schools, and it had abolished it in juvenile detention. So you could no longer hit children in juvenile centers. And the same rights that were used in those cases are the same rights that have kind of been pushing their way forward into the case that we got last year. The reason why we also we have the Domestic Violence Act also is to stop the violence against women. And in that act, complainants, children are actually included as complainants, but we just had this one bracket where there was the defense of reasonable chastisement with regard to the crime of assault. And that is where parents kind of had that defense with regard to corporally punishing children.
Now, Lithalethemba, a lot of parents, obviously, you remember even when that court judgment was actually released, there were a lot of parents who were saying that, no, now you're trying to tell me how to discipline my child. These children don't listen. Can you advise the parents that are watching the show right now other ways to discipline your child?
So, yes, I agree. Last year, it kind of tore the country, I'd say, in half with regard to people being for the abolition and people being against it. But I think we take the view of it's not trying to take something away from parents or giving children too many rights. But we need to look at it in the context of this country. The violence that we now face being perpetrated by men against women, men against children. Children are also actually perpetuating violence and actually committing violent crimes in school. Children are fighting within the home. So we need to look at it at that lens. The people that are now, we're calling for gender-based violence to end, we're calling for abuse to end, but the people who are adults now were children once. And I was lucky enough yesterday to be invited to a panel with Dr. Smama Isela and Dr. Shahida from the Teddy Bear Clinic, which deals with children who now are having to go to therapy because of abuse or because of sexual abuse. So we are trying to kind of look at this holistically. What type of society are we trying to create? Because understandably, when the judgment came out, it seemed like it was a direct attack on the parents. And it seemed like parents are now going to be taken to jail for disciplining their children. But that's not the case. What is supposed to happen is that from even the Department of Social Development, there's positive discipline. It's been there for a long time, but most of us don't know about it. So we're using what we know. We were corporally punished, so it worked. And I'm fine. I'm a lawyer now. I'm a doctor. It worked on me. But what was the psychological impact of that? What did I carry around with me from that? And what positive discipline kind of tries to do is trying to talk to the child. At the moment, I don't actually have a list of all the different things. My other colleagues do. But it's one of the things where we're trying to kind of move away from the violence that is kind of plaguing South Africa right now. And one of the biggest problems is that kids see and do what they are seeing. So they're perpetuating, they're fighting in school. So we see a lot of videos of children fighting, and that's assault. Those children can actually be brought through the child justice system and actually face charges because they're assaulting other children, or they're assaulting teachers, or they're assaulting their parents. So how do we stop that? We need to kind of look at the internal as well as except for the external, because with corporal punishment, we look, was it moderate? Before the defense was abolished, it had to be moderate. But how do you measure that? What is the psychological impact of that? And at least now, mental health is kind of coming at the forefront. We're accepting it, and we're accepting the fact that a lot of things impact us, including the corporal punishment that we received as children.
Well, let me thank you very much for your time, child law expert Lithalethemba Stwayi.